G'day, everyone. Welcome back to another Toon podcast, the Southern Hemisphere's biggest and best podcast for all things Newcastle United. Joined tonight by Lee and Dimi. How are we tonight, boys?
Pretty good, Keegs. You look fingered, mate. How are you going?
I've seen. No, you probably don't know who this is, Lee. Dimi, you would. We've got a saying around our footy club, blokes who have seen better days, so we call him Pete Murray. So I'm feeling a bit Pete Murray today, mate, because I've seen better days. But we're here. We're gonna review the Wolves game tonight. Just before we get started, we've had one of our longtime supporters, Tim Shaw, reach out to us. He's follows a club from, I'm not sure what you call it, the southeast Queensland, Lee, Burleigh Heads, kind of that area, the Gold Coast. So he's coordinated, and they're having an event on Sunday, December the 15th at Mo's Desert Tavern in Burleigh Heads. It's a tribute show for the Clash and the Jam, and all money raised is going to go towards the local food banks and stuff like that. So if you're in the area on December the 15th, go down there, show your face, and if you can donate, please do, and we'll have the link to tickets and stuff like that in the show notes. So quickly get that one out of the way. But we'll get straight into the game. 1:30 a.m. on a school night again. Timmy, it's crushing at the moment. So yeah, after a couple of cordials yesterday, it wasn't the ideal time, but yeah, you got to do what you're going to do, don't you? So if you're already tired, you may as well just stay tired. So we get straight into the lineup. 3 changes, Dimi, which I don't think anyone foreseen the changes. I think we foreseen one was going to happen with Fabian Schär replacing Emil Kraft coming back from suspension, but I think most of us of a fair mind would expect Sandro Tonali to have started after his 2 90-minute performances with Italy. Unfortunately, no, he didn't start. Sean Longstaff kept his spot, which I did flag probably last week that I thought that was going to happen, and it's kind of the way Eddie seems to operate at the moment. And then Harvey Barnes was a strange omission as well. So what were your thoughts at 12:30 or 1:00? I don't know how you consumed the game, whether you slept and got up or you just went raw dogging all the way through, mate. So what did you think when you did see the lineup, whatever time that actually was?
Get him, Denny.
I saw it around midnight. The lineups seem to be coming out a bit earlier these days. They usually used to be an hour before kickoff, but now they're coming out a little bit earlier. So I was up around midnight watching the Spuds versus the Gunners and catching a bit of the Grand Prix as well. So yeah, I was trying to stay up, but I did get a bit of kip. I did get a bit of kip before the game. But fair to say, in my dazed state in bed, I was quite. I don't know if you say distraught. I was very animated when I saw that lineup.
You were raging.
I wasn't happy. Let's be honest. And I thought, look, we've had 2 weeks off in international break. It's the first game after the international break. Surely this is a time to bring in our best players. And I thought that. Well, I don't think I thought. I think everyone knows our best players, Sandro Tonali and Harvey Barnes especially, should be starting in this team. And especially Harvey Barnes, he scores a wonderful goal against Spurs last time out, and he's had no football, so he's fresh as a daisy. He's ready to go. He somehow gets dropped, and Tonali, that was the weird one because he's obviously had a few cameo appearances and he played in the cup against Forest, but he's fresh off 2 90-minute performances for Italy in the Nations League game, so he's cherry ripe as cherry ripe as he's going to be in terms of getting his first start. And not to say he's going to play the full 90 minutes, but I think definitely he deserved a start. And when you've got one of your big players on the bench, I thought that was frustrating. And yeah, I wasn't happy to see the same old names, Longstaff and Murphy, in the lineup. Nothing against those guys. They've done a great job at times. But, I mean, our best players are available now. They're fit and ready to go. I thought this was the time after the international break to really make a statement against Wolves and come out, especially in the first half, and just blow them off the park, essentially, because Wolves were very vulnerable. Listening to the preview pod with the Wolves lad, they sounded like they were very nervous leading to the game in terms of their defensive fragilities. And I thought, look, let's play our best team. Let's not just wait till the last half an hour to bring our super subs on. Let's try and kill the game. So yeah, in my if I was half asleep when the lineups came out, I definitely was fully awake when I read the lineup.
and Lee, Lewis Hall was back into the team in place of Lloyd Kelly, which after the Bournemouth game and maybe the Spurs game as well, I think most people thought he was a bit more defensively solid than what Lewis Hall was, and playing away from home. Maybe we'll look to try and be more compact at the back and hit him on the break and things like that. But Lewis Hall got the gig, and it was kind of weird because he'd been away with the under-21s, and I think he
Played
set
well.
up he had a couple of assists, and he might have got man of the match on one of the games as well. Like,
Mhm.
so it's funny how Dimi, when you say about Tonali, like he's played 2 90-minute games and wasn't picked, but so did Lewis Hall. But and he come back into the team. Like, it's not like he held his place. He actually come in because he didn't play. So what did you think about all that, Lee?
I think you've got to bear in mind that we've got squad depth now, which is something that we have to get kind of used to a little bit. We've got a bit of squad depth where people come back from injuries. We've got a bit of talent on the bench, and I don't think Eddie can just keep playing. And I hope he doesn't, because we whinged about that last season or the season before. I forget which one it was, where we were just playing the same starting 11 every time. It became very predictable. And that was largely due to the injuries and everything else. We don't have that issue at the moment right now. And I think even though it's early in the season, I think Eddie's trying to manage maybe some egos. He's trying to manage workload. I think the thing about Tonali specifically is pretty obvious. Like, the guy has been on his arse for 12 months, not playing any game that's worthy of the name, really. No match sharpness. Yes, all right, he plays for Italy, and he did that lovely assist for one of their goals, and he looked pretty great. But I think you're asking too much for him to come straight into a league game on the back of 2 of those games and on a few halves with Newcastle from the start of the season. So I think there's certainly a load management there from Tonali's perspective. Hall, I actually quite look of Kelly as well. He's as you mentioned, he's been looking pretty decent. So, and I'm still out a bit on Hall. I don't really. I see a bit of flash with him. I say, oh, that looks pretty good. Like, he can often be quite good with the ball at his feet, and he makes some nice runs and what have you from deep defense. But other times he tries to do long balls and he tries to do crosses from the wing, and he just hasn't got it yet. He hasn't got that kind of vision. Well, maybe it's not he has the vision, but he hasn't got the skill yet to pick those passes out. Yesterday was another case in point where he tried to do balls in from free kicks or from the wide areas, and they were just getting first manned and booted out the way, and it was breaking down the move. I wouldn't mind seeing a bit more of Kelly. Murphy, and I think also Eddie's trying to kind of give these guys a chance to do something in the 45 and then bring on the big guns, if you like, in some ways for the second half and really smash these teams when everyone else is a little bit more tired. I don't know. I don't think we can be too critical of some of these selections. I know Dimi are raging about it, but maybe, I mean, I've said it before, I want to see more Gordon and I want to see more Barnes. I want to see him on either wing, and I'd like to see them switch over as well, because they have that ability. So maybe that one's more of a surprise that Murphy started, but he wants everyone to get games. He wants everyone to have minutes in the legs to get ready for any injuries that might crop up, as well as the cup games and all the rest of it. So I think it's to be expected, and I think we'll have to get used to this to some extent. I mean, Dimi won't; he'll just keep raging all the time, but like,
Eddie's turning into Rafa the Rotator. I remember Rafa the Rotator. He used to just rotate everyone who was at Liverpool.
You've
He
got to
just
rotate
never
in
kept
this
the
game.
same starting 11.
You've got to rotate, though, man. There's just too much for
To a point.
the same 11 to keep
To
doing.
a point. To a point.
Well, the next game against Fulham will be the acid test, a full 7 days to recover and no distractions and things like that. So it'll be interesting to see next week. But we'll get stuck into the game. I thought we started well, first kind of 20 minutes, but it's been probably, and I know we've only sort of a bit in the embryonic stage of the season, but our first kind of 4 games have kind of followed the same pattern. I think we've started pretty well in most of the games. And then after, 15, 20 minutes, I don't know if we've lost our way, but the other teams just kind of started coming into the game a little bit more, and we've maybe just retreated a little bit. And so after that first 20 minutes, Wolves were probably definitely the better team. They had a couple of good chances, and we did have a couple of good chances in that 20 minutes. We probably could have been 2 goals up with that Murphy shot that just went over. Gordon made an amazing run and clipped the outside of the post. I'm not sure if you've seen Murphy at the back stick either. That could have been an easy free header if he dinked it over. But he looked a bit more like his normal self last year with the runs he was making. I think the sort of 2 run-outs with England maybe just supercharged his confidence up a little bit more. I think he was definitely a little bit flat coming into the season. Now, whether that's, and I think he spoke about this last week or the week before when he went to the England camp, he was disappointed with how he was managed, I guess, during the summer and during the tournament and stuff like that. And maybe he was a bit flat and dejected when he come back. But we did see a bit more of the Anthony Gordon that we kind of come to love last year. But yeah, the goal for them, Dimi, I've seen Longstaff probably get some unfair stick. I think, like, he's tried to do the right thing and he's tried to play it first time. Unfortunately, the defenders read it, but at the same time, there's still 5 defenders behind him to try and stuff out that attack. So you can't. It wasn't like he'd left everyone completely exposed and they could just run through us. Like, there's an argument: should Dan Burn have fouled on the wing to stop the attack? And maybe it was a bit early; he didn't want to get a yellow card and things like that. But I think it was Larson. I think it might have been Larson on the wing that crossed the ball in. But the step over from Gomez, oh my God, he threw everyone out and left. Is it Lamina with it basically a tap in? Like, what were you thinking then?
Not happy. Let's be fair.
You're not happy, but I think sometimes you've got to, like, dip your hat and go, look, not a bad goal. Like, and Wolves probably did that to us twice.
The finish and the final cross and dummy was brilliant. It was a beautiful move. But my issue was twofold, or actually threefold in that move. The first thing is, as a player, you have to know your limitations. And I'm not saying it was Longy's fault, but he doesn't have the quality to make that one-touch pass. So I'm not sure where he thought he was going to make that pass or who he's thinking to split the gap. That's not his game. His game is
to Isaac, yeah.
His game's not to pick those passes. His game is to circulate the ball, work hard, win the ball back. So that's the first error. The second error for me, Burn gets just way too tight to his opponent Larson, and to be honest, Burn had a really tough game. He was quite awful, if I'm honest. He got a bath by that bloke Larson, who was Haaland 2.0 against us. He was bullying Dan Burn all over the shop. But when you've got a striker all the way on the right flank, 35 yards from goal, he's doing no damage. There's no need for you to go right up his ass. And the fact that he did gave him the opportunity to get turned. And the final error, you saw it on the, I'm not sure if you call it the behind the goals vision or what do they call it on Optus, but Tino just switched off for maybe half a second or a second and sort of said, oh, someone else will grab Lamina on the back post. And he sort of stopped at the top of the penalty box. And if he continued his run, he may have been there to block on the line or to even block that cross even coming in. So there was three issues for that goal. And to be honest, the goal had been coming to an extent. Wolves had started to get on top, but yeah, it was a pretty soft goal to concede.
Yeah, it was. And like, they probably, on the balance of play, it was probably coming. I think, like I said, after that 20 minutes, they probably controlled most of the game for that whole rest of the first half. But Lee, we've seen something that we don't really see with Eddie Howe, a sub at half time, and it wasn't just a sub. He went the triple banger. Now, I think the Isaac one was forced and hasn't really been much discussion and information about what had happened. All we know is it's an eye injury. It looked like he caught the end of Dawson's foot in his eye. I actually originally thought I thought it was a concussion. I thought the ball smashed him in the face, and I thought,
Same.
oh no, this is a concussion. Which, and I think I've said this before, and I probably should have looked at it last time. I said I'm not 100% sure what their concussion protocols are in the Premier League at the moment. I'm not quite up to date with that, but I thought he's probably going to be missing the next game because he'd be in the protocols. But yeah, it's since come out that it was the eye injury. But yeah, I think Joel Linton getting hooked at halftime as well was quite an interesting one. And yeah, I could kind of understand why Willett got brought on, and he was probably, well, we didn't speak about him when we spoke about the lineups, but him on the bench was a bit of a surprise. And we've said this for nearly 12 months now since he was injured the first time. He's such a big miss, and he's such a different player to what we have in the position in terms of his ability to run with the ball and drive forward and get us up the pitch and stuff like that. So, what did you think of the halftime subs, Lee?
Surprise.
Apart from the obvious one, the fourth
It's not
one.
usually Eddie's game plan to switch out 3 players at halftime. Maybe he's learning, maybe he's evolving his thinking on some of these games when we're not scoring the goals when we have all the ball. I think for the first 30 minutes we were easily the better team, and then it started to turn, and Wolves were better for the last 15. And so maybe Eddie's looked at that and went, all right, we've lost control towards the end of the half. We were a goal down. Joe Linton's losing his rag by looks of things. He got that silly yellow. Although I will say though, he was getting fouled all over the place, and he was getting next to no protection from the ref from the sense of a yellow card.
Seems to be a bit of a theme too this year from our opponents, doesn't it?
So far this season,
the game, not letting us get a rhythm and things like that.
Yeah, it looks a lot like the plan for a lot of these teams is just to kick the shit out of us for as long as they possibly can get away with it, and then and see where we are after that. But yeah, I think Joe going off was probably because of that, and maybe Eddie looked at him at halftime and thought, "Oh, this guy's raging. I'm gonna hook him here." Maybe it was tactical though. Yeah,
it could be
he has
could be a bit of everything.
Could have been tactical, yeah, it could have been. The Longstaff one, tactical, or just wasn't happy with his output, I don't know. And Isaac, I think he took a kick as well he took another kick beforehand, like he got kicked in his leg or shin or foot or something.
Yeah.
And he was sort of limping a little bit, and then he got one in the face. And with him being on internationals and what have you as well. And I actually don't think Isaac was doing too much in this game. He did that one nice through ball to Murphy, but you want it the other way around. You want Murphy doing the through ball down the middle, and you want Isaac on the end of it. And he was coming too deep at times, and he was chasing around the ball a lot, and it didn't look like the game for Isaac in some ways, but he's that good. You just don't know what you're going to do with him. Get a goal from anywhere. So it was nice to see these subs early, and it's a testament to the like I said earlier, the depth that we've got now that we can. I think the Chronicle called it the bomb squad, above the fuck that's meant to mean. But the idea is that you take off some of your big names and some of your maybe slightly smaller names, and you bring on some equally decent sized names to replace them, and you change the game. And I think it did as well. Well, at least eventually. We didn't have it all our way second half either, but it was good to see decent changes dead early instead of waiting until 60 odd minutes when he hooks Tino, and then doing them then when the game might be out of sight by then. So yeah, I'm actually for that when he sees the need for it. I think it was very positive for Mehdi.
Yeah, and like you said, I think we come out a bit more re-energized after half time and kind of looked like we got control of the game again. But then we had that. It wasn't quite a scramble, but they just Larson just makes sort of something out of nothing, just a short sort of snapshot at the near post, and Pope wasn't going to get there. He was too far away. I don't think he was ready for it, and it's probably the only place he could have shot. Like the angle that he had, he probably couldn't get it across and into the far corner. And I mean, if that goes in, it's probably game over, to be honest. But just not long after that, we get Kieran Trippier in, and Livramento comes off, and I think that's when it started probably turning our way, and we probably controlled it for the rest of the game like that. But Dimi, is it time that we start Kieran Trippier again now? Because every time he's come on as a sub, he's impacted the game in a positive fashion. And that's not to say that Tino's been playing bad. I think he's been pretty... not like when I say average, he's probably been your 7 out of 10 every game. He hasn't had an absolute sort of unreal band of the match game, but probably hasn't put in a stinker either. But that change, and we do look a bit more in control when we've got two guys like Trippier and Sharp together out of the back and controlling the ball and more playing the game on our terms.
I think the way it works at the moment, I think it suits better for Trips to replace Tino than the other way around. I think if Trips was starting, I don't think he'd bring on Tino to change the game and sort of get you a goal when you're down. So I think the player that Trippier is, he suits obviously going forward, and he's great on the ball. He crosses well. He can pick a pass. that suits, I think, when we're chasing a game. But if we're defending a lead, or if we're under the cosh with crosses or with a pacey winger, I think Tino's the one we want to be defending. And Trips in the second half of the season last year did get exposed a few times defensively. And for me, Tino still defensively is still very good. He's not providing the same quality going forward because he's not the same ball player as Trips. He's a bit more of a ball carrier than a ball player. But I think the role, the way they've got at the moment, Tino plays 60, 70 minutes, Trips for the last 20. I think it's suiting it well, especially when we're chasing goals and chasing games, because we saw last year, and even since Trippier's been here, how good he is in terms of his assists. So I think that suits a role coming off the bench rather than the other way around. If Tino would come on, would Tino have the same impact as Trips? Probably not.
I'd agree with that.
Is there anything wrong with that, Lee?
No, I agree with that. I think it's also good man management as well from the Trips perspective, as well as Tino's. Is really you've got a guy who struggled last season at times. We all know he wasn't the best Trips that we've ever seen last season. He had a lot of off-field troubles going on with his misses and everything else. And then almost like every day or every story during the summer window there, he's been linked to like a different club, or he's off to Dubai or wherever the hell it was he was getting. All these different links are coming out, and you can understand. I mean, he's obviously a seasoned pro, but you can imagine that his mind might be like in other places. But I think giving him these minutes and letting him do what he does in a kind of vice captaincy role when he comes on is great for Trippier as much as it's good for Tino to get the start and to get those first 60 odd minutes. I think it's really clever from Eddie Howe if that keeps Trippier. If Trippier is happy with that, and Tino's happy he's starting, he's imagined he would be, and he doesn't mind getting hooked, then it's probably the best of both worlds for us right now. So I don't have any issues with that. But at the same time, if Eddie wants to start with Trippier because he thinks the experience is more important than Tino's run out or whatever, then I wouldn't be against that either. Trippier is still a really, really good player. And you saw that game against Spurs where he's on the sideline. He's bloody managing the team half the time. He's talking to Barnes. He's like, get over here, run down there, and all this kind of stuff. The guy's like lives and breathes it. So he's a hell of an asset to have. And yeah, I think the more we can give him minutes in the legs, the better we'll be at the end of the season.
I think that's probably part of the reason that Eddie Howe was so keen for him to stay, Lee. It's not just his ability on the pitch, it's what he brings off the pitch, around the dressing room, his leadership and everything like that. And all that stuff there's not a measurement you can put on that. They're the intangibles that keep your squad together and make your squad tick and drive standards and everything like that. So I think, his off-field stuff is just as valuable to the team as what he gives us when he goes on field as well. So 10 minutes later, they started retreating. I think our pressure was starting to really take its toll on them, and they were getting deeper and deeper and deeper. And a player like Fabian Schär, Dimi, he doesn't need any invitation to attack or go forward. But when they've got 9 blokes camped in and around their penalty area, you're basically rolling the red carpet out for him to come and have a crack at something, which he doesn't need much invitation. We spoke last year. I think the AC Milan game comes to mind, where he just doesn't mind when the game's still in the balance. He doesn't mind going on an adventure into the forward half and just seeing what comes his way. But as we've seen, and as PSG found out last year as well, he's probably not the bloke you want to give space to on the edge of the area. Now, I know it did take a bit of a deflection off Craig Dawson's head, but the ball was still going into the back of the net. Like, it was on target. And yeah, we're 1-1, and I don't know about you, but I felt pretty good about things after that goal went in.
It was one of those moments that we needed a bit of luck, I think, to go our way to get that first goal. Not that we maybe weren't going to score, but it's sort of, we needed some sort of, sometimes in football, we just need something to go your way, whether it's a deflection, whether it's the bounce of the ball. And you're right, Cher's the last player you want to let shoot from outside the box. He needs no invitation, and he does rate himself as a attacking threat. We saw even soon after that goal, he went on this mazy run, playing a 1-2 with Tonali and almost scoring a double. He was he does that from time to time, but you do forgive him because he can put the ball in the back of the net, and it's a very valuable tool to have when you have a low block or we have defenders sitting very deep, and instead of just going sideways, backwards, lumping the ball into the box with a cross, a shot like that, even if it doesn't go in, it does pull the defenders out and gives you more space in behind. So it's a very valuable weapon that we've got when Share plays, and we don't have someone to shoot outside the box really. We'll talk about Barnes in a minute, but generally speaking, we don't really take many shots from outside the box. So to have someone like Share who can do that as a centre half is very valuable. And you're right, Keegs. And when he scored that goal, you sort of sense that the confidence grow from the boys, and you can sort of see Wolves thinking, "Oh shit, we should have probably put the game away with a couple of those last chances. Now we haven't. Now we're in trouble."
Yeah, and we had, and being with our squad depth at the moment, we have the ability to bring on quality players, and we had a lot of quality players on the pitch at the end of the game, which is something that we haven't had for a long, long time. And it does make a huge difference in games and things like this, and it does change results. Like that's a fact that your ability to make changes and to bring good players off, and we're kind of seeing what we hoped or what we planned to see last year, but injuries obviously curtailed that, and we were never really in a position to do anything like this. But Lee, 5 minutes later, what the hell happened? What was that? Harvey Barnes. He kind of he made his own little space to get the ball back, and he just seen a nice little opening where he could run across goal and open it up for him on the right foot, and he shook off Matt Doherty, and I think Doherty kind of let him go, expecting one of the defenders in the line to come up and put a bit of pressure on. But by the time Gomez decided, shit, I better come out and put some pressure on, the ball was gone, and it was up there in the top corner, and we're 2-1 up, and I love asking questions like this when it's 2:45 in Monday morning. How do you react to something like this and not wake your whole house up?
Yeah, it's tough. It's definitely tough. But I think just on that previous goal, the Shaw, he's one of the few in the team who can actually do those blamos towards goal. And like you said, Dimi, you start taking those pot shots, sooner or later you get a bit of a look, you get deflection, you get a rebound that you tap in, something like that. And we miss Shaw when he's not in the team. We do, because at that point there, we were kind of huffing and puffing, but not getting anywhere. And so Shaw just thought, sod this, I'm going to blame it. I still, on the Barnes goal, I still do not understand how these teams don't know what he's going to do, because he does the same frigging thing.
Everyone knows what he's going to do. Like what?
Yeah. Every single time he cuts inside, he makes a space on the edge of the box, and he whacks it in the far corner. You know exactly what he's going to do. He never passes. He never does anything feinty. He doesn't, he doesn't do anything else. He just goes, I'm going to aim for that corner, mate. See what you can do about this. Hulk. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But you know what he's going to do. So that back line was
nowhere near it either.
Nah, that back line was in a straight line on the edge of the box, if I remember rightly.
Yeah,
I was on the Wolves fan forum, as I often do on a win. I was on there, kind of soaking it all up. Almost to a man, though, they were slating Doherty for the way he let Barnes go there a little bit. I think it's probably a little bit harsh to blame it entirely on him when there's an acre of space between the back line and where Barnes kicks the ball from. And he was like the one person who was trying to stop him, at least. But yeah, nobody seems to want Doherty in the team for the Wolves guys. So that probably absolutely killed them when they saw that happen. And everyone goes to celebrate in the corner, and the game had changed so much by that point. The first goal goes in, and we're struggling a little bit. It changes. Did the game even change when Trippier came on, do you think? I mean, we kind of struggled up to that point.
Control. I wouldn't say we struggled. Yeah. I just don't think we had the influence around the game that what we did until when he come on. We seemed to just take the game by the scruff of the neck after that, and maybe it was just a coincidence of the timing of the game, and we kind of went, shit, we really need to start asking questions here to try and get something out of the game. So maybe it was just a coincidence that he come on and the timing of this 15 minutes or so left, and we've got to get something out. And
yeah, whatever it was, 2 goals in 5 minutes when you're 1-0 down with 15 or so to play. Nobody's complaining. Nobody is complaining.
Two
One thing I
goals
will
like that
complain.
too.
One thing I will complain about is why we left Gordon up front by himself, because I think there was an opportunity there to give Sula a bit of a run out there and give us a target man to aim for, because I don't think Gordon was particularly effective in that central role. I know he can do it sometimes, but you've got a striker on there. You've brought him in to presumably play at some point. Yes, the game was kind of in the balance. Maybe that's exactly why we didn't do it. But I would have liked to have maybe seen that happen and just see what Asula's got about him and give us a new target man with Isak being off the pitch. But look, man, I'm picking at straws here. I'm picking at bones, whatever the hell that phrase is. 2 goals, 5 minutes. Very happy. Didn't wake anybody up, so that was pretty good.
Yeah, that's probably more important than the goals, to be honest, is to wake up to a happy family in the morning. Yeah, but yeah, I think Asula will get his chance, but I think he'll be more in a game where the results not up for grabs in the last 10 minutes or something. Give him a run out and things like that. Maybe you play against Wimbledon in the Carabao Cup, he might get a run out there as well. We might get to see him, but who knows? Callum Wilson might be might doing a lot of heavy lifting in that sentence. He might be ready by that game, so he might want to get minutes as well. So we'll see what happens. With that goal, Dimi, and this is I was going to bring this up before, but I thought we'd wait to talk about it. The goal when we speak about the lineups and how Barnes needs to start with Gordon on either wing, whether they stay true to their wings or they kind of interchange during the game and keep mixing it up and things like that. But that was his 7th goal for us on the weekend, and 5 of them have come as a substitute. So is he the perfect person to come on in the last quarter of a game or the last 20 minutes, 25 minutes of a game? Does he have more of an impact than what he does when he starts? Like, can we sort of play a Jacob Murphy or a Miggy? And this is to what you said before, Lee, as well, that can we use him as that sub, that powerful sub who can really get us going when he comes on, as long as we can either hold or like attack or maintain our position up until that point. We've got that ability for someone like him to come on and really change the game.
Look, there's nothing wrong with bringing quality players off the bench, and obviously his record has been limited with us because he's been injured as well last season, and that's probably why a lot of his goals have come off the bench, because he hasn't been fit for a run of games to get starts. But Harvey Barnes for me is a quality player. He's a proven Premier League goal scorer for Leicester when Leicester were doing very well in the Premier League. And for me, the type of player he is, he scored a goal starting against Spurs last week. So there's one point. But he's the sort of player who I think thrives on combination play. And a player like Isak, for me, Isak and him and Gordon and Barnes, they seem like a trio that could work really well. Very interchangeable, very mobile, and definitely something defenders could not take for granted, especially when Gordon's on fire and there's 2 defenders on him, because they're probably not as concerned with Murph. If you've got Barnes and Gordon on both wings, that probably gives a lot more space for both wingers to have a go at their fullbacks. And Murphy and Miggy, for me, like you mentioned, they're pure pace energy players, and players who have got pace and energy, they're suited more to sub roles than someone with guile and quality as Barnes is. And I think a role reverse when Murphy comes on for the last 20 minutes, I think you'll find he'll have a greater impact in the last 15, 20 minutes than he does at the start of games. Because let's be fair, in terms of actual technical and football quality, he's nowhere near Gordon and Barnes.
Yeah, fair. It's just interesting that when you kind of see stats like that and you're like, and I think for most fans, not just of Newcastle but of the Premier League, they're probably default positions that they got a Solskjaer.
Yeah.
He's that guy that just comes off
the super sub.
Hey, I know I'm coming. Yeah, I know I'm coming on. I know I'm probably going to score once in every 2 games when I come on as well. And there was nothing wrong with that at all. But before the game wrapped up, Lee, it wouldn't be a Newcastle United game without a real twitchy ring hole in the injury time. And Cunha, I guess you'd call it like a bit of a hook shot and long throw, a header, injury time. It's got chaos written all over it. What a save by Nick Pope. And it got me thinking today, and and I had a couple of other, I guess, players and things like that bouncing around in my head, but I was asking myself, is he our most valuable player?
Bobby.
No, Nick Pope. Is he our most valuable
Yeah.
player?
Nick Pope.
Poopy.
Is he our most valuable player? How do you
So
even?
not so much that. So this is how I quantify it. So if Bruno doesn't, say Bruno's suspended, then we can play Tonali, Willock, Longstaff. Like we do have cover in that now. But when he doesn't play, we are a significantly worse team when he doesn't play.
I think
And
we
we
are
probably miss him more than we miss any.
a significantly more nervous team at the back when Pope's not there to do the old sweeper keeper stuff. Pope is not without his own brain farts. I mean, let's not blow smoke up his ass. He has his moments, like run out of the box and trying to grab the ball off Mo Salah and all that kind of nonsense. Like, doesn't his
Missing out on a
distribution's
final,
absolutely awful? Yep, yeah, and his distribution's terrible, and he doesn't do too much hasn't done too much this season, but he does have the propensity to not catch the ball. Didn't he do that in the last game? No, did he? Was it last game where he spilled out sideways and then they just blammed in the?
He didn't push it wide enough. Yeah, he didn't push it wide enough.
I don't even think it was it Johnson on the wing. I don't even think he knew he was there.
It was
I don't think he looked or
anything. Yeah.
I'm still annoyed about that. So he's not perfect by any means, but question wise, I suppose even if you took Isaac out, you've got Wilson, or the suggestion of Wilson. I guess so. Yeah, I suppose there's. I mean, if you take Joe, we are kind of weaker in the middle from that kind of physical presence, but from just like for like, we don't have anyone like Pope. You have Dubravka, who's Dubravka, and he's always going to be Dubravka. He's never going to be Pope. He doesn't sweep at all. He flapped a bit as well. So yeah, maybe, yeah. That's not a bad call out, actually. I'm trying to think of anyone else, but they're all kind of covering most places where it's equal, at least. I think in most cases, but Pope and then to Dubravka, that's a hell of a step off, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like every position and we're only going to say a like for like replacement, so we're not going to go into the depths of the injury crisis last year where we were bare bones. But in terms of if you put our best 11 players on paper in the formation that we play, if you take one of them out and replace them with someone else, I thought he's probably the one with the biggest step down in terms of quality coming in. But if you've got any other shouts, love to hear them in the comments and hit us up on our socials with what you think, who is our most valuable player, and don't confuse it with who's our best player, but who's the player that's probably most valuable to us at the moment. But Dimi, before we wrap up, we're 10 points from 12 games, our best start for a long time. I can't remember the exact one. We're third in the table, not really too concerned about the table at the moment after 4 games, and sort of let it simmer maybe after 10. But just the value of being able to grind out wins and pick up points early in the season is massive, isn't it?
Yeah, it's enormous. I mean, we started very slow last year. We won the first game in style against Villa, but then we lost 3 in a row, and we were sort of pushing the proverbial up the hill for a long part of the season. And then we got the injury crisis, and then we were sort of stagnated. So to get points early is crucial. It's crucial for confidence. It's crucial for your standing at the end of the season to accumulate points early. And I think with the fact that we're not even playing probably maybe not even 70-80% of our capabilities is a great sign that we're able to grind results. And even today, I mean, we're 1-0 down. Many times last year, we conceded the first goal and then we were cooked. We wouldn't come back. But the fact we were able to come back and not only get a point from the game, but win the game is fantastic. And we're only...
And away from home as well.
And away from home, exactly right. And our away form was deplorable last season. So it's a great confidence boost to get that away win early in the season, especially being 1-0 down. And not to say Wolves are a well-beater team, but they're not rubbish, and I think they'll definitely be okay this season with some of the teams in the Premier League this year. But it's important to be able to grind results when you're not playing well. That's always a good sign of a good team, is the ability to pick up results when you're not playing well. So I think it's a fantastic fill-up for us early in the season.
Absolutely, Lee, and I think like you said, winning breeds confidence and things like that. And sometimes, and this might sound a bit stupid, but I don't think you can underestimate winning games and winning at places where you don't traditionally win. Like that was the first time we've won there, and at previous 7 games we'd never won at the Molineux. So just little things like that, I think, just sort of help build the confidence. Now we get a nice little, maybe a 3 or 4 game block before the next international break as well. So hopefully we can use results and performances like this to really kick on.
Yeah, well, that's how it works, really, and we get our confidence from the victories and the good performances. I actually do think we are getting progressively better. It might be incremental, but we are, I think, seeing signs that we are getting better with each game that passes by. Away from home is never easy, but we dominate for the first 30 minutes, and we actually looked pretty good at quite a few times during that first 30 minutes. Yeah, all right, then we kind of fell asleep for a bit, and then we still had the wherewithal to snatch the victory from the jaws of defeat while playing without a striker. So, there's a few things in that you could really pick out and say these are really good qualities that we've got in this team. But it's only good as long as you're picking up points at the same time. Like we could be sitting here with 0 wins, or like maybe it's a draw or something, and be saying, yeah, all right, sometimes we play well, but other times we play terrible, and the teams are punishing us. It's fine margins, But so far, so good. Spurs was probably the hardest challenge we've had, I guess, so far. There's a lot of bigger ones to come, without doubt. City's coming up soon, I think. I think Fulham next will be quite a challenge.
It's a tricky game there, yeah.
Well. Yeah, I think they'll be difficult. We'll have to see how we do there. But so far, so good, and hopefully there's still a lot more to come.
Yeah, absolutely. But that'll wrap it up for tonight, gentlemen. Thank you very much for your time. It's been much appreciated. Thank you, everyone, for listening and tuning in as well. If you're listening to us on audio as well, probably should have mentioned this at the start, but if you give us a 5-star review, apparently it helps. So we'll take all the help we can get at the moment. And if you're on YouTube, please let us know your most valuable players and any other things you want to let us know. We'll be back later on in the week with a preview for Fulham as well. I think Jack's lined up another guest from an Aussie-based Fulham channel. So be sure to tune in for that. If you've got anything you want us to ask and stuff like that, please, once again, hit us up on the socials. But in terms of tonight, gentlemen, that'll be full time for us. Thank you very much.
Cheers boys. How are the Toon?